Republican Congressman Jeb Hensarling is stepping down from the panel charged with overseeing TARP. He joins us now from Capitol Hill, along with Bloomberg's Peter Cook. Gentlemen, welcome to you both.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so Congressman, as you just heard, the chair of TARP's oversight panel, Elizabeth Warren, said she was surprised to hear that you'd be leaving the Congressional Oversight Panel. So tell us, why did you decide to go, and why now?
Well, I've served for a year, and listen, I respect the chairwoman, I respect the other members of the panel, but there's been a division for quite some time, and with some notable exceptions, I just believe that, unfortunately, the panel has really evolved more into a congressional advisory panel and often leaves the hard work of oversight to others. And so I haven't found it necessarily to be a great use of my time or the taxpayers' money, but the staff does hard work. Again, I respect those who are on it. But there was a difference of opinion on the vision of what this panel ought to be doing.
And what is your vision, then, of what this panel should be doing? Do you have a specific disagreement on the way the TARP has been handled and where it's going from here, perhaps the extension?
Well, if you're talking about the TARP, absolutely. I mean, this is not a debate today on what TARP was. It's a debate on what TARP is. TARP today is a $700 billion revolving bailout fund that the administration uses to advance its political, its economic, its social agenda. I mean, you saw that, for example, in the GM and Chrysler cases, where all of a sudden their political ally, the United Auto Workers, who were unsecured creditors in Chrysler, they end up owning the company, getting something like 42 cents on the dollar. The secured creditors ended up with 29 cents on the dollar. You saw a similar pattern in GM. That has nothing to do with financial stability. Second of all, in the Chrysler case, you have Fiat ending up with up to 35%, not even being a creditor, ending up with 35% of the company if they will produce cars that make that get 40 miles per gallon. Now, that has everything to do with the administration's global warming agenda, but it has nothing to do, again, with financial stability. There's still a long way to go in our economy. The most important thing we could do now is to take the TARP money and apply it to the deficit. Nobody wants to start a new business enterprise thinking they're going to get socked with a huge tax or that the Fed is going to monetize the debt. And so TARP needs to go away, and it's a big mistake of the administration to continue it.
Congressman, this is Peter Cook over on the Senate side. I heard the Secretary's testimony today in front of the panel. You weren't there for the hearing, but he did say again that TARP has been a success. It achieved its primary goal of stabilizing the financial system, although challenges do remain. At face value, do you disagree with that?
Well, I don't know the answer to the question. We'll never know. As you all know, TARP, frankly, is dwarfed by the actions of the Federal Reserve, by probably a factor of roughly 10 to 1. How do you separate out TARP from what the Federal Reserve did under its 13.3 exigent powers? And again, it's an interesting debate to have. What did TARP do? Again, I'm not debating what TARP did. I'm debating what TARP does. And today, TARP is essentially Stimulus 3. And if so, we ought to be honest about it. But the statute says that as funds are returned, it ought to be applied to deficit reduction. That's what the statute says. Not only does the statute say it, I believe it is smart economics. Again, you have the looming clouds of Obamonomics preventing jobs from being created in America. People are threatened with the tax relief of this decade from expiring on capital gains and dividends and income. They're threatened with a $600 billion energy tax in the cap-and-trade proposal. They're threatened with a nationalization of our health care service. It's going to cost at least our health care system at least $1 trillion. Now we have this incredible bailout and job-busting bill that we're debating on the House floor today. And we have the first $1 trillion deficit in our nation's history. There's too much uncertainty, too much debt, too much deficit. That's hampering job creation. By any historic standard, we already are to be out of this recession, but because of the policies of the administration, job creation is lagging, and we have the highest unemployment rate in a generation.
Representative Jeb Hensarling and Bloomberg's Peter Cook, thank you very much, both of you, for the discussion today.
Thank you.